What's new from Apple? There's the new iPhone 16 Pro, built for Apple Intelligence. And it comes with the all-new camera control, giving you an easier way to quickly access your camera tools. The new Apple Watch Series 10 has our biggest display and our thinnest design ever. And this? It's the sound of active noise cancellation, now available on one of 2 new AirPods 4 models. So quiet. Check out all of the new products and new features at apple.com. You can even buy yourself something new. See apple.com for product availability updates. Apple Intelligence coming this fall.
Earning your degree online doesn't mean you have to go about it alone. At Capella University, we're here to support you when you're ready. From enrollment counselors who get to know you and your goals, to academic coaches who can help you form a plan to stay on track. We care about your success and are dedicated to helping you pursue your goals. Going back to school is a big step, but having support at every step of your academic journey can make a big difference. Imagine your future differently at capella.edu.
Sergeant and Mrs. Smith, you're going to love this house.
Is that a tub in the kitchen?
There's no field manual for finding the right home. But when you do, USAA Homeowners Insurance can help protect it the right way. Restrictions apply.
This episode is brought to you by PNC Bank, who believes some things in life should be boring, like banking, because boring is steady, pragmatic, responsible. You don't want your bank to be cool or sexy. Sexy is for red carpets, not banks. That's why PNC Bank strives to be boring with your money, so you can be happily fulfilled with your life. PNC Bank, brilliantly boring since 1865. Brilliantly boring since 1865 is a service mark of the PNC Financial Services Group, Inc. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC.
Okay, so here's what happened. I've been holding back a whole bunch of shows, like 10 shows, for when we went independent, because we were under the laugh button, and then the laugh button got sold or disappeared or something. And, that whole laugh button thing was a bit of a disaster for us. I used to have 3 times the number of downloads when we were under Riotcast than we did the next day when we moved over to the laugh button, because our RSS feed got changed. And people were going, are you guys still making podcasts? I can't find you anywhere. I'm not making fun of them. I'm making fun of the fact that people couldn't find us anymore. And I had to start all over again from scratch, trying to rebuild my audience. Well, anyway, the laugh button goes away, and now there's this group called Studio 71. I don't even know who they are, but they have offered to help us out with the show. And I was going to go independent, but maybe they know more than I do. I don't know. But anyway, I have all these shows in a queue, and my stupid cleaner program that cleans out old files cleaned out all the shows. So now what's going to happen is I'm not willing to just not put anything out. So I'm going to take the shows and clip off the beginning and the end, and basically you just kind of get what's in between. These are shows that a big chunk of them ran on Sirius XM, and then I'll just take off the XM branded part, and there you go. So don't tell anybody. Anyway, so I apologize for the disaster. It will, I promise you, get better. I'm going to start taking this show a lot more seriously going forward, and I have some ideas about some things and doing a little bit more of an interesting video presence rather than just watching us record a show for Sirius XM and then ruining some song at the end. So hang in there. But until then, here's some shows. This one was recorded on August 23rd. And so you can see how long I've been holding these things. And let me see, is this the right one? Hell, I don't even know. Yeah, okay, wait a minute, August 26th. Yes. So the kidney transplant from pigs, some headache remedy called Zoc, oral ketones for weight loss, and snorkeling, and some other, I don't even know. I don't know. So I'm sorry this happened. I try to be a little bit more professional than this, but I had a reason why I was holding these shows back. And you may have noticed I've been putting them out like every 2 weeks instead of every week so that I could build up a backlog. So when we went out on our own, we would have a bunch of shows that I could put out there. Well, that was a stupid-ass idea. And anyway, here's this show, and I hope that there's about 8 of them like this. And I'll start putting them out in sort of rapid fire just to get them out there. I would like to have a couple in the can. It's going to be hard to do now because I only have one that's actually in the can that's in podcast format. So it's a little bit of a disaster. But anyway, we shall persevere. And stay tuned. By the first of the year, which is just a few months from now, I'm hoping that this will be something sort of brand new, but also familiar enough that people still enjoy it. So I hope you enjoy this. And, Schadenfreude is the best kind of Freude. A quote from Bob Levy. So enjoy my pain. All right, thanks.
I've got diphtheria crushing my esophagus. I've got Ebola virus dripping from my nose. I've got the leprosy of the heart valves, exacerbating my incredible woes. I want to take my brain out and blast it with the wave, an ultrasonic echographic and a pulsating shave. I want a magic pill for all my ailments, the health equivalent of Citizen Kane. And if I don't get it now in the tablet, I think I'm doomed and I'll have to go insane. I want a requiem for my disease. So I'm paging Dr. Steve. Dr. Steve.
All right. And check out Dr. Scott's website at simplyherbals.net. That's simplyherbals.net. And that's about all I've got on that kind of thing. How's everything going over there? It's allergy season.
It is allergy season, and the fall is coming in. Everyone
needs CBD nasal spray, I guess.
Right. To make it through the fall.
Yeah, no, anyway, you can check that out at simplyherbals.net. As much as I give Dr. Scott a hard time, that stuff is amazing. Yes. I will say that.
Thank you, Doctor.
All right. Tacey, do you have fast facts for today? Or Tacey's
Are we calling them fast facts
now?
No. What?
That's Carissa's thing. She has fast vag facts.
No.
Tacey has Tacey's time of topics. Do you have any topics?
I do have one.
It's Tacey's time of topics. A time for Tacey to discuss topics of the day. Not to be confused with Topic Time with Harrison Young, which is copyrighted by Harrison Young and Area 58 Public Access. And now, here's Tacey.
Well, hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Excuse me for sounding like I smoked 7 packs of cigarettes today. I'm currently under the weather with allergies.
Yeah, and you tested and it's not COVID.
I tested.
I tested and it's not COVID. It's, I'm in a meeting today and I'm just all of a sudden just started hacking in the middle of it. And it's like, golly.
Can't do that anymore.
So I had to show everybody. No, you can't. Everybody looks at you, especially now with the media going, COVID, it's coming back. And it's like, yeah, no shit. So are the other 5 circulating coronaviruses. We'll see. Mm-hmm. Most likely, this newest variant will be like the other more recent ones. It'll be mostly upper respiratory. There'll be some illness. I do know some people, young people who've gotten it that have had fevers up to 103. Ooh. And every, ended up, some of them gotten treatment, some not. But so maybe a little bit more than just a regular cold, but that's about what influenza does. Mm-hmm. I had 105 fever with influenza. That was a little freaky when you're 60 years old and you got 105 temp like some
face is melting off your head.
Yeah, like some little shitty kid. Anyway.
Yeah, you were sick.
Yeah, that sucked.
Yeah.
But I got on the Relenza, which is my favorite. If you can, by the way, this flu season, if you can get the inhaled version of Tamiflu, if you get influenza instead of the pill, highly recommended.
Okay.
A lot of people can't take the pill, and it causes nausea and stuff like that. I've never had any problem with anyone doing the inhaled version, except that they can't figure out how to do it.
Right.
I vomit all over the place on that Tamiflu.
On the Tamiflu, but not on the Relenza, though. And the Relenza's it has a little disc, and you put the disc in there, and then you open this thing, and it's got a spike, and it punctures the little membrane, and then you just inhale it, and then you put it back down, and it advances to the next one. It's not that hard. Apparently, it's a fucking rocket science for some people.
A little more challenging for certain folks.
Well, doing an inhaler is rocket science for some people.
Yes, true.
If you don't do an inhaler correctly, you will not get the benefit from it. And people don't know what we're talking about multi-dose inhaler. It's a little sort of L-shaped thing. You put your lips around it, and what I see people do is they'll breathe out when they actuate it.
And you're talking about like an inhaler for someone with asthma or something.
Yeah, or
right.
just yes, or some condition that's causing them to have bronchospasm, or they need something to open up their airways or decrease the amount of mucus that's being produced, because that's what ipratropium bromide does. And there's lots of different kinds of inhalers, but I'll see people squeeze the inhaler, the medicine comes shooting out, and then they exhale at the same time.
Yep.
Well, look who's here.
Well, looky.
Miss America.
There you are. Let's see.
She is.
Do I have her music?
Oh, gosh.
Oh, no.
You got music?
I don't, yeah.
Oh, my God.
I don't have music.
You don't have music? I just played your music.
That's not my music. That's Time of Topics music.
Your show was better when you had medical questions.
Agreed.
Hey!
Okay, so anyway.
So, anyway.
Can you hear with those?
Yeah.
Oh, yay. Okay, good deal. Because I fixed them.
I can't
now you'll have to
breathe
turn.
'cause I just ran up the fucking stairs.
You can't breed?
Yeah, I can't do that either.
Okay, well, good. And who wants to do that? We got enough people.
You're rude as fuck.
Is that really? Okay, I'm sorry.
Good, don't breed. Disgusting.
Well, we're glad you're here because we've been building up your fast facts.
And I don't have shit.
Well, you had the thing about the average volume. Anyway, see, I just spoiler alert. Okay.
Don't ruin it, Dr.
So let's talk about inhalers just for a second. And so the trick with the inhaler is you must do it like you are smoking a joint. You want to suck the medicine down into your lungs, and it's hard to do if you're blowing out at the same time. So this is what you do. Put your lips around it. Start the airflow in, so you're sucking in air, and there is laminar flow going down into your lungs, and then hit the actuator. And don't stop breathing. I see people do that. They start going, and then they hit the actuator, and they stop. And it's a little bit like rubbing your head in a circular motion while patting your stomach. It's hard for some people, but you have to practice it. Keep inhaling. Don't stop. And when you do that, what you're doing is just basically injecting medication into that laminar flow of air going into your lungs, and then you get a good dose. Okay? All right. Sorry, Tace.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine.
All right. Well, thank you. All right. So what do you got?
Okay, this came from Stacy DeLoach.
Oh, okay. Well, fine.
If somebody's going to do my homework for me, I'm going to let them.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, pig kidney xenotransplantation performing optimally after 32 days in human body.
Wow. So they transplanted a pig kidney
yes,
into a human.
Yes. Surgeons at NYU, I don't want to misspell the university.
Langone or whatever.
Langone Health have transplanted a genetically engineered pig kidney.
That's how I pronounce it. Is it Langone? I don't even know.
I don't know.
Langone.
Okay, Langone.
Well, it continues to function well after 32 days in a man. This man was declared dead by neurologic criteria and maintained with a beating heart on ventilator support.
Okay.
This represents the longest period that a gene-edited pig kidney has functioned in a human and the latest step toward the advent of an alternative, sustainable supply of organs for plantation.
Yeah, that is really the thing. I mean, God bless all the donor services people, but they are really, what's the word I want to use, DNP Carissa? Oh boy, the donor services
Who's taking a
folks,
nap, man?
the donor services folks, they're very aggressive.
Okay.
And they are because, and they've got a certain way they want things said. They don't want anyone, even if we've been doing this for 30 years, they don't want us mentioning that they're even coming to people, and which I don't play that way, because I'm not going to tell someone, well, we have to wait 2 hours to, do your, get your loved one off the ventilator, for what?
Right.
And I can't mention that the donor services are coming, so it needs to be
I
part
always
of it.
do.
I know. But they get mad. But it would be nice if we could just do away with that, wouldn't it? And so they do editing on these kidneys.
Yes.
Probably because they put IT' when they meant ITS. Or Y-O-U-R instead of Y-O-U''RE. But anyway.
What? Okay, this is the 5th time this was performed, and this work demonstrates that a pig kidney with only one genetic modification and without experimental medications or devices can replace the function of a human kidney for at least 32 days.
What's so they did a single edit? What did they do? Does it say what the edit was?
It's talking about removing this troublesome gene that shows promise. The first hurdle to overcome in this is preventing a so-called hyperacute rejection.
Correct.
Which typically occurs just minutes after an animal organ is connected to the human.
I've said that on
By
Saturday
knocking
night. Let's get
out
rid of these troublesome genes.
the gene, by knocking out this gene that encodes the biomolecule known as alpha-gal, which has been identified as responsible for a rapid antibody-mediated rejection
Is
of
it
pig organs.
alpha-galactosidase?
It just says alpha-gal.
Okay.
So immediate rejection has been avoided in all 5 xenotransplantations at this university.
Okay.
The pig's thymus gland, which is responsible for educating the immune system,
Sweetbreads.
was embedded underneath the outer layer of the kidney to stave off novel delayed immune responses.
Oh, now that's interesting.
That's interesting.
So they took... That's a poor pig.
Yeah. To ensure the body's kidney function was sustained solely by the pig, they removed the transplant's recipient's native kidneys.
Oh, my God.
They were both removed.
Well, that's the right way to do it, though. If you're going to... Listen, so you've got someone who's brain dead, and instead of doing donor services, these researchers come up and say, hey, would you like to further medical science? Here's what we're going to do. Now, I wonder if they were able. I wonder if they were able to do organ donation after this was over. Of the kid, right? The kidneys that they took out. Why couldn't you have those donated?
The pig kidney that was then transplanted started producing urine immediately. During the observation phase, intense care clinical staff maintained the descendant on support while the pig kidney's performance was monitored and sampled with weekly biopsies.
I think that means decedent. In other words, they were emphasizing
yes,
the patients
that's what I meant to say.
that they're dead.
Levels of creatinine, a bodily waste product found in the blood and an indicator of kidney function, were in the optimal range during the length of the study.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about creatinine so people understand what we're talking about. That is a molecule that's very efficiently filtered out by the kidney. So your urine should be high in that, but your bloodstream should be low in that.
Okay.
And when your kidneys start to fail, we start to see creatinine start to rise. It rises in a sort of semi-linear fashion, so the higher it is, the worse the kidney function is. So, go ahead.
So in the
and they were
United
saying that stayed normal. That's awesome.
That's great. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Talks about how there are more than 103,000 people on the waiting list, with nearly 88% of those waiting for a kidney.
But there's all kinds of fucking pigs out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
In 2022, about 26,000 people received a kidney, but nearly 808,000 have end-stage kidney disease. So there just aren't enough organs.
I dated a few of them pigs there,
that's enough
Dr. Sneed. I totally did on my time.
That's enough. Too many people are dying because of lack of available organs. The kidney and thymus gland used in this procedure were procured from a gal-safe pig.
What?
I don't know what that is.
Gal-safe.
Gal-safe.
So it doesn't have the alpha-gal.
So it's an animal engineered by Revivicor Inc.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
In December 2020,
Figured out a way to make a bunch of money off of this.
the FDA
'Cause
approved.
you can't sell human organs, but you sure as shit can sell pig organs.
Yeah, the FDA approved the
Good.
GalSafe pig as a potential source.
What the hell, though? I mean, could it be a source of other things too?
Right. Well, and I was just thinking too.
Hearts.
Yeah, but a lot of folks will function on one kidney. So if
you just do
one pig kidney,
Yeah.
God, that'd be wonderful.
One pig, get
two people. Two people. There you go.
You're good at ciphering, Dr. Scott.
And you got that turd bacon left over for just in case.
To get you some fat back, for you put that in your beans there. That's good.
Oh God, they used to when they've tried this before, they've done up to 10 genetic modifications, but this only had one single gene modification.
That's amazing. So obviously easier to do 1 than 10.
Is that saying that we are getting closer to pigs genetically?
No, we always have. When we would do dissections, they would use fetal pigs because they're so close to humans as far. Now, the thing is, this is one step. So now you got these gal-free pigs. And you can get hearts, and you can get kidneys, and you can get whatever. Maybe
bladders.
Pancreas. Bladders.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool, man.
You could get, penis transplant. Well, I got me a hog penis.
Oh.
Well, why not?
Oh, Lord.
So you do all this stuff. And then that is
I'm so glad I came to
Aren't you glad you rushed over
Aren't
here?
you though?
I'm just going to tell you, I had 2 hours of sleep last night. I'm goofy AF today. But this is a stepping stone. The next thing we need to be able to do is to grow this stuff in the lab.
Yes.
Now, here's the thing about that. If the pig kidneys and hearts and lungs and all this stuff work well enough, they're going to be a lot cheaper than figuring out how to do human stuff and growing it in the lab with 3D cell printers.
Yes.
So it will be
Very
a
much.
long effing time.
Yeah.
If this works, this will be our technology for the next 10, 15, 100 years maybe.
Yeah.
Because just imagine trying to grow someone's organ with their own markers on it, which obviously is better. You think it would be. From scratch from a single, say, stem cell. That's going to be a lot harder to do than to just string some poor old pig up and yank their kidneys out. As long as they can.
Or just one kidney, maybe.
Oh, yeah. let them run around with
Yeah, let
them.
them run around.
And, to let assuming that these gal-free pigs breed true also.
Oh, yeah.
Because that way you can just let them breed.
Right on.
So they're going to monitor
And that
this patient for another month.
Yeah.
With permission from the family and the ethics committee.
Yeah, of course. The ethics committee would have to be involved. The institutional review board, the family's got to give consent, obviously. So good for them.
But could save thousands of lives.
Sure.
So there you go.
Now, there are cells that are used in monoclonal antibodies that were taken from a woman that had cancer, and her family is trying to get some recompense for that.
Right.
Her cells are immortal. They just divide, and they were perfect for making these monoclonal antibodies, and they should get something. The other thing, these families maybe ought to get a little something more than just, well, we'll pay you $1,000 to do this or whatever. They ought to get. I don't know. I mean, what's ethical in this situation? You want to do stuff for pure research, but this corporation is doing it to develop a technology to make money.
Right.
And without that incentive, a lot of this stuff wouldn't get done. So I'm okay with them making a profit off of it, but they really need to, give the family some stock or something, stock options or something.
That'd be nice of them to do.
So that down the road, when this becomes standard of care and they're a $1 trillion corporation, the family can cash out. But anyway, all right. Got anything else on that,
Nope,
Tace?
that concludes.
That was a good one.
That's a good one,
I think you
Tace.
get a bill on that.
Give thyself a bell.
Oh, did I get a bill on that?
With an assist from Stacy DeLoach, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
scorn, and defiance. Slight regard.
Anyway, all right. Shut up, Shakespeare. Now, DNP Carissa, you were opening something there last time.
Uh-oh.
And that was for you, just so you know, just so you weren't just opening things.
This is mine now.
Yeah. This is the headache remedy that we were talking about last time. And so I bought one, and it looks like one of those things that you clean lenses with. It's got a little syringe.
What the hell is it?
It's got a syringe and a little thing at the end that you stick in your ear. Now, is there instructions with it, or do you have to?
I remember talking about that.
You have to go online to get the instructions, because I hate when they do that to you. That's the instructions?
There's instructions on it, or you can scan the QR code.
Do you have...
Insert
we're not going to say their brand name, but what it is it's sold online as an inexpensive headache relief thing. And what it's supposed to do is take the quote-unquote pressure off, except what it's doing is taking the pressure out of the external canal of the ear, which is usually not where the headache is, unless... you have maybe if you had eustachian tube dysfunction. But even in that case, eustachian tube dysfunction meaning that you have a caved-in eardrum because there's decreased pressure in the middle ear.
Right.
And but even then, I wouldn't think this would fix it, because the fix for that is to blow your nose
and equalize the pressure.
In there.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about last.
Yeah, we were talking about it last time. Somebody called in.
I could see it working on an airplane, but not.
I didn't see it working on an airplane, to be honest with you. But they had a lot of anecdotal evidence on there. I didn't see any.
Ooh, it feels so good.
I mean, we can use it to clean our lenses on our cameras,
or
and
your
stuff,
computer,
or computer
keyboard.
Yeah.
But you don't happen to have a headache right now, do you?
I do not.
Okay. Will you take it with you? And when you do have a headache, try it, and then let us know. That will be anecdotal evidence. And even if it doesn't work, they can say, well, that's anecdotal. But it just, the one thing is, if you buy the damn thing, it's cheap. You know, it's not like they're selling it for $120. And then you get it, and it's a little bulb syringe with a thing on the end.
Isn't that wild? Yeah, it looks like a bulb syringe.
Uh-oh.
I mean, yeah.
Uh-oh. This is, hang on, let's see. Hello? Hello, are you there?
Oh, God.
Every time.
Yep.
I get those spam calls, and they start going, well, Mom, this is Medicare calling. And it's like, well, honey, I'm just... And she starts a-talking, telling them about the vittles that she ate that day and that she's not good at ciphering, and et cetera, and bing, it click, and they just hang up because they know they're not getting a penny out of her. Anyway.
Good stuff.
Okie doke. Where were we? Okay, so you've got that. There's also another package there from your fans at Micro Moog Fest that I would not open now.
Okay.
All right. You guys want to take some questions?
Yes, absolutely.
Let's do it.
Number one thing, don't take advice from some asshole on the radio.
All right, my friend. Here we go.
Hi, Dr. Steve.
Hello.
Hi, Dr. Scott.
What's up?
How are you guys doing?
Terrible.
Awesome.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That's too bad. I had a question about exogenous oral ketones.
Okay.
I just can't find any straight information on my own. Was hoping you could steer me in the right direction. Are they bullshit or do they work? Thanks. I'll hang up and take your answer off the air.
Okay. What's going on?
I was waiting for the sputum that she spewed out when she was coughing.
I coughed into my shirt.
Oh.
Well, that's the most hygienic way to do it up here in this
I guess
room.
you're not wrong.
You got a point.
I mean,
I had no idea what was happening.
I didn't either. I thought one of you guys passed flayed us and you weren't telling us.
Oh, no. I was just being ugly to taste.
Okay.
well, I mean, I don't blame you, Scott.
Yeah.
Lord and Lady douchebag.
All right.
It's not like we're not in close quarters here.
This guy is asking about exogenous ketones. So, DNP Carissa, you want to talk a little bit about ketones and their function in the body and all that kind of stuff?
No.
Okay, that'd be a no. So, thank you. So, when you are starving, your body will burn fat. And when it burns fat, it produces these things called ketone bodies. And basically what they are products of lipolysis, or otherwise, or in other words, fat breakdown. When you break down fat, you produce these ketone bodies. Don't worry what they are so much. They are a specific form of an organic chemical molecule, which I made in the lab when I was an organic chemist. And I made a lactone once, and it kicked everybody's ass. So it was cool. Anyway.
Do you want to give yourself a bell?
No, thank you. I already did. I published it in the Journal of Organic Chemistry. Thank you very much.
Oh, my God. Highfalutin.
So what happens is when you're on, say, a low-carb diet, people will call these ketotic diets, or I'm in ketosis because they're producing ketones, right? Okay. And so people go, well, if I'm producing ketones, maybe if I take ketones by mouth, that will help me lose weight. And so the question always happens with these things. It's true of any medicine. If someone said, well, is aspirin good? Does aspirin work? Well, for what?
Yeah. Depends.
Does it work for diabetes? No. Does it work to reduce mortality during a heart attack? Yeah. Does it work to prevent cancer in people, particularly with familial polyposis? Hell yeah, it does. But does it prevent rickets? No. So what's your end point? So this guy just said, well, ketones work. So I'm going to assume that what he's talking about is it good for weight loss? And what they found is that there are some human studies that taking ketones by mouth rather than producing them internally can actually lower blood glucose and improve some aspects of cognitive function, actually make you more alert and oriented and stuff like that. And so there might be some benefit in things like type 2 diabetes or dementia or something like that.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. And but a lot of people will tell you when they're on a ketonic diet or Atkins type or low carb diet that they feel more alert and more energetic, and it may actually be not just the lowering of the blood sugar and leveling out of the insulin levels. It could be the ketones that you're producing may actually have some sort of beneficial effect.
Okay.
So it's interesting, isn't it? And DNP Carissa, you changed your hair. It looks quite lovely.
Thanks.
Yeah. I haven't seen you in a while, so no, it looks good.
Did it purple?
Yep, sort of purple.
Sort of purple.
Yeah, it's not, it just, it doesn't look purple from here, but...
Rude.
Well, I'm sorry. Does it look purple?
I think it may be the lighting. I can tell that it's purple.
Yes. I can't tell. All right. So, yeah, we've...
it's pretty purple.
Is it?
Oh, my God. It's way purple now. Oh, my God. It's so purple now.
Well, I've seen you when you had it like bright purple.
Yeah, well, that was done professionally. I did this myself.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
I am not a professional in any matter.
All right. Okay, so anyway, anything else on exogenous oral ketones?
No.
Okay. This call is from 2021. I'm finally clearing out some of the old phone calls. Good Lord.
Hi, Dr. Steve. This is Phil from Tampa. I was calling because I just listened to the most recent episode you put out today. Today is the 26th of August.
26th of August, 2021. No, 2021.
And I just want to call and say I understand your frustration about talking about COVID all the time, but for me personally, your voice has really been an anchor in this tidal wave that seems to be COVID.
Okay, so I had a shitty day today, so I'm playing this to make
you feel better.
Yes.
Prepare the bell.
Really dependent on you, whether for good or bad, to provide relevant and factual and honest information. Admittedly, I was a little disappointed with the Stacey thing, but I have certainly been in a position where friends can kind of, put you in a position. But I just want to call and say thank you for everything that you've done during this year and a half. And God forbid the pandemic goes on longer and longer. I would hope to rely on you for more. But my question is if you decide to scale back on talking about COVID,
yes,
what are some sources of news that you trust, implicitly?
Okay.
Or at least as close to implicitly as you can. I visit covid.statlabs.com regularly, and I'm glad to hear that there are some key websites coming back. But if there's anything else that you can recommend, a news source, a site, whatever.
Yeah, for just medical news, I'm Alex Jones. Who are these podcasts? No, I like. Medscape is decent. What medical websites you guys follow? Anything? Just follow me on Twitter. I'll tell you what's what. You guys don't bother looking at anything.
I don't follow anything.
I think a lot of the journals are pretty solid, but they're not always user-friendly necessarily.
Yeah, there's up-to-date, but it's...
PubMed's always pretty reliable.
PubMed is great. Well, it's reliable in the sense that it presents articles to you that are in the medical literature without putting any commentary on them.
Right.
So the articles are just as they are. Now, if the person fudged the data or something, you have to be pretty savvy to pick up on that. You can if you've been around the block a few times, you can pick out studies that are crap, but there's no commentary. So if you want unbiased commentary on, or no commentary whatsoever on published articles in the medical literature, PubMed.gov, you can't beat it.
Right on.
And people go, well, I'm going to .gov. It's not. It's the National Library of Science. It is funded by the government, but this is one of those things that's actually okay.
So that question, though, is relevant today with all the COVID stuff in the news.
Yes.
So where would you recommend people go? I mean, are you
to
just
find
saying,
out if it's bullshit or not, or what's
just
important
to keep
and what
up
isn't?
just with COVID? Where would you recommend that they go?
Oh,
are you still saying just PubMed?
No. I mean, Scott was just talking about an unbiased place to get medical news, and I still think for the layperson, Medscape is decent. It hasn't been overrun with a lot of commentary. The CDC, if you know how to filter out some malarkey, is pretty good. Okay. One of the things with the CDC, they published the data, and it's like, how clueless are you? Where they said only 6% of people who died in the hospital actually had a COVID diagnosis. It's like, what they were commenting on how poorly people fill out death certificates, because they were looking at death certificates. So, for example, DNP Carissa, if you have someone that dies of, let's say they have COVID-19, they come in with viral pneumonia and hypoxia, low oxygen, and then they have a pulmonary embolism, and then they have a cardiac arrest, and then they die. How would you code that in a death certificate?
Cardiopulmonary arrest.
Due to?
Respiratory failure.
Due to?
Pulmonary embolism.
Due to?
COVID.
Yeah, there you go. So that's the proper way to do it. You don't just put COVID-19 as the diagnosis. And so people were like, well, only 6% of death certificates actually say that's because most doctors don't know how to code a death certificate properly.
Okay.
I see this all the time. When I was medical examiner, it was unbelievable what people would put on those things, because they're not really trained to do that. We're trained to keep our patients alive. They don't really talk about, well, what do you do when they die? Yes, for Kay Dunning-Kruger, for people like you who have IQs of 180 something, it is common sense. It's not common sense for the run-of-the-mill person, even who have gone through medical school. So that's part of the problem. But the CDC will have data on there. If you don't trust them, that's okay. Come here. You know that we're going to evaluate the data and look at it and try to give the most unbiased information that we can if it becomes a thing again. I made several statements during the beginning of the pandemic and throughout the pandemic, and most of the stuff that I said, I am patting myself on the back a little bit, ended up being correct because we looked at the data and didn't look at people's opinions. One of the things that I said in the beginning, fuck off, it's a DNP, Chris, and making faces at me. One of the things that I said during the pandemic that was incorrect was in early days, I said most people won't get it, and most people who do get it won't die. Now, the second part of that was correct, but the first part it turned out to be incorrect, but we weren't. When I said that, we were still in OG COVID, and OG COVID had a basic reproductive number that said that if we just did a couple of things, that it would die out, just like SARS and MERS did. But instead, it mutated and became the piece of shit, endemic coronavirus that we have today. So anyway, all right. So it's a tough one. It is tough. Mm-hmm. There is a, what is the name of that app that I found? And what it does is it's called Ground News. It's free.
Okay. Ground News.
And what Ground News does is they will categorize something as being far right, far left, or in the middle. So, for example, I'm looking at this app right now, and it's free. And you can say, I just want to see COVID-19 news, but here's an article that says DOJ charges 371 people, launches new COVID fraud strike force. And it is 46% of the articles in here are on the left, 46% in the center, and then 8% on the right. Okay? And so if you want to read the right wing side, you can click on that, or you can just click on the center. And these people seem to be pretty decent at categorizing things as right, center, or left. And I don't want my news to be either one, but I'll listen to Jimmy Dore, who is as far left as you can get, and then listen to Anthony Brian Logan, who's pretty far on the right. And I try to listen to all kinds of stuff and then synthesize it myself. But if you don't have the time to do that, then something like Ground News, you can just pick center and then just go with it. And you'll know what the truth is over time. And, people got, if we're talking about COVID, people got crapped on for doing their own research. No, that was the right thing to do. Anyone that crapped on somebody for doing their own research, they're not scientists, they're not physicians, but it's okay to, before you take a blood pressure medicine, to go do your own research. See if it's something that you want to take. What about the adverse effects? Dr. Scott will say if more people did that, he'd be seeing fewer people.
That's right.
So I think it's perfectly okay to do that. Why would we tell people it's anti-intellectual to say, well, you can't do your own research? We say that about everything except this particular virus.
That's the purest form of controlling your environment. Yeah.
Correct. And it's the purest form of control to tell people that they need to stay ignorant.
Yep.
So I have your...
Ew.
Ew. What, about ignorance?
Mm-hmm.
You don't like ignorance.
You don't like
no, who the fuck likes ignorance?
Ew.
We ain't got no time for that.
Ew. Nobody has time for
Hey,
ignorance.
Dr. Steve. I've got a question about my eyes. I was snorkeling the other day, and the conditions weren't very good, so my eyes were unfocused.
Yes.
And we're looking at, like the light blue and then the sand. The field of vision was very light. So my eyes were unfocused, and I kept seeing, it almost looks like it looks like a film on my eye. It also looks like I'm looking at like a bacteria, long-strain bacteria under an electron microscope.
Yep.
And it's almost like a long hair that moves.
Yep.
And it also, I guess you could say it looks like, the heat coming off of a jet engine, like at an airport. I'm just wondering what that is, if it's healthy. I've heard people talking about floaters, and I don't really know what that is, but just wondering if it's normal or if it's healthy or if it's something I should look into. Thanks.
Well, okay. So, do you guys know what he's talking about? Because
I was gonna say floaters.
It's
That's
floaters.
what I was going to say,
Yeah, very
too.
good. Okay, so everybody gets a bell.
Give thyself a bell.
Yes. I'm still one behind.
That's right.
So the reason he saw them is because his eyes were unfocused. I'll see them if I look at certain, if I look in a microscope, because my eyes are focusing differently.
Yes.
I would have been a terrible histopathologist because my eyes are full of floaters, and we'll talk about why in a second. But so there is debris on the inside of your eye, and that vitreous humor, as we get older particularly, the vitreous, which is a gel-like substance that's optically pretty clear, will sometimes shrink and pull away from the retina. And when it does that, it's called a vitreous detachment. And all kinds of cells and stupid stuff will float into or will flood into the space between the now vitreous that's no longer attached to the retina and the retina, and it's just got fluid in there.
Right.
And those things are actually cells and little bits of debris broken. It could be rods from your retina that are just floating around in there. And light will pass through the eye and then hit one of those and cast a shadow on the retina. And that's what you're seeing. It could look like little red blood cells, and it might actually be. I have those. And then
looks like the worms,
squiggly things.
Little worms,
and if you move your eyes, you can see them shoot up, and then you'll see them sort of float back down again.
Kind of suspended in that fluid.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
And it's actually backward. When they injected stuff into my eye, steroids into my eyeball, it actually floated to the bottom, and I saw it in the top of my vision because it's upside down.
Yeah.
Remember the eye. What the eye flips the image, and then the body turns it back around again.
The optic.
The brain. Sorry, what did I say? The body.
Yeah.
Well,
we know what you mean.
It's part of the body.
Yeah, it's part of the body.
But yeah, the brain flips it over, and goes, that's upside down. So so that's what that is. Those are floaters. Now, if you have sudden onset of floaters, like I did, that is most likely a vitreous detachment. You're looking up at the sky, and all of a sudden it just fills up with floaters. If you have lightning, like light, lightning is a good way. Flashes of light, especially when you turn your eye a certain way or anything like that, you may have a retinal detachment. So go get seen.
Go get it checked out
by a good ophthalmologist, and they'll look in there and see. Now, what happened to me is that I had the vitreous detachment, and 2 days later, my eyesight went from 20/20 to 2200, and that detachment actually caused inflammation in my eye. I had a thing called posterior uveitis, which is why if you go to youtube.com/@weirdmedicine and scroll down, you can see them injecting shit into my eyes, and it is steroids. I had to have that done multiple times.
God, how long? That's been almost 20 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, we were still
been a long time.
We were still in Rogersville when it started.
I was gonna say it's been a long time.
And we were still in that other town. That little town in Upper East Tennessee.
What time is it? We need to change that.
43:54. We were
in a little town.
In a little town in Upper East Tennessee, and I saw the optometrist there, who then sent me to an ophthalmologist, who then sent me to the retinal specialist. But if you go there, you can. The one video I've got with 300,000 views on it, I can't monetize because it's a medical procedure, is my ophthalmologist taking a sty out of my eye. It had turned into a chalazion. You remember we talked about those, where the sty will scar down. It makes a little fibrous thing. It makes a lump in your eyelid that you can't get rid of, and they have to go in and cut it out and scoop it out. It's way fun. 300,000 views on that. And then we talk about actual COVID-19 all during the pandemic. I think the most I ever got was 1,000 views.
I know.
We do try to. The video thing is kind of on the DL, so we don't push it. But
right.
We get all
Unless
of our,
you're getting big shots in your eyes.
We're still a radio
You want to
show.
make people gross.
Yeah, well, we're still a radio show. We just do the video thing because Rob Sprance a long time ago told us we had to. Anyway, but we enjoy hanging out with the Fluid family. Now, Nick Illig in the Fluid family, which, by the way, if you want to hang out in the waiting room, go to
and join the Fluid family.
That's correct. Follow us on Twitter at Weird Medicine, but also subscribe to our YouTube channel. And then when we go live, you can listen to it live and watch us because, well, boy, we look so amazing. Well, Carissa and Tacey do, but Scott and I mean, he's got a man bun, for God's sake.
Yes.
But anyway.
So do I.
Well, when on you, it's not a man bun. If you, and then you can ask questions in the waiting room. And so Nick Illig, who is brother to Mike Illig, who is a.k.a. Captain Mike. Check him out at avidangling.com. But he says, if Steve is taking questions from the chat, I'd be interested in how he is enjoying Provigil. So I wouldn't say enjoying is exactly the word. So I take Provigil. It is now generic. It used to be $800 a month. Now it's way cheaper and covered by insurance. And it is a drug called modafinil, which they use, from what I hear, and we got to get Dr. Jesse in here, the guy, what was he? He was a ranger, right? Army Ranger. He was an undercover guy. He was there at Tora Bora when that was all going down. Anyway, DNP Carissa, that was the first guy I was going to try to hook you up with from the radio show, was Dr. Jesse.
Poor thing.
So glad.
But anyway, well, you're single, they're single. You know, I'm always, Tacey will tell you, I'm always trying to hook up my single friends with people. And, you know, I'm sometimes successful, sometimes not. Well, anyway.
Most of the time not.
No, they're always a good match. It just doesn't work out for reasons that we're not going to talk about on the show, right?
Right.
Right. Okay. So anyway. What the fuck was I talking about?
Something.
Provigil.
Oh, Provigil, yeah. So we'll have to ask Dr. Jesse about that. But what I hear is that the military will use this drug when they're on patrol or whatever, and they've got to be up for 36 hours. And they call them go pills. Now, that could be apocryphal. It could be a bunch of crap, but that's what I've heard. I could imagine it, though, because what it does is it improves executive function. It is a so-called nootropic or nootropic, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And it improves mental quickness, but awake alertness is the big thing, without making you feel like a goof. And I have narcolepsy, and the problem is I've got an hour-and-a-half drive to one of the clinics that I go to, and I was falling asleep on the way home from there. And so my sleep doctor put me on this Provigil. I really like it. It works a lot better if I don't take it every day, for me. Mm-hmm. Because if I take it every day, I get like this. Mm-hmm. And then I couldn't sleep last night. I slept 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 40 minutes to be precise. And you know, I'm a weirdo, and I get, you know, I'm emotionally
unhealthy, old buddy.
I'm emotionally dysregulated sometimes, and I say stupid things and all this kind of stupid.
And then
bullshit.
you start talking with puppets, and that's a problem.
This is such a problem.
Speaking of which, no, okay, I won't do that. But
please.
Yeah, Tacey.
My fault.
Nobody likes the
Thanks.
puppets.
Thanks, Scott.
What puppet was that?
You don't want to know.
That was Cletus. He'll be coming out in Detroit with Tukey and Bedabbler, but I hope, if he'll let me. If you want to see something kind of funny, just Google. Oh, now Tacey's shaking her. Okay, forget it. You know what? Fuck it. Just go to our website and I'll put a link there. But there was one of the puppets did something mildly humorous, and I'll be paying for it ever after. Anyway, so yes, Clint, those are floaters. If they're acute, get them checked out. If you get a bunch of them, acutely vitreous detachment. If you get lightning flashes in your eyes when you move them, that is very likely a retinal detachment. Get that checked. Okay.
Right on.
All right. And let's do this one. Let's see here. We've got a couple minutes left.
Steve in the borough.
Hey, man.
I was listening to the Weird Medicine show, although I've been listening to my Patreon show earlier on a road trip.
Thank you.
And you were talking about healthy vagina wall and lactobacillus, I believe it is. Would there be any value, probiotic-wise, when giving a woman oral treats for the person performing the act? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not sure what the question is. Obviously, we were talking about lactobacillus being the normal vaginal flora, and so when you got lots of lactobacillus in the vagina, that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. And I made the point that it's proof that God has a sense of humor, because that's also the same bacteria that makes yogurt into yogurt, and it also makes kombucha into kombucha and other stuff like that. So it's, and you can use plain yogurt as a douche for some women that have bacterial vaginosis. That was an old school thing to do.
Right.
So he's asking.
Yeah, he's asking, I think, if he was eating yogurt or something, if he was eating at the Y. Is that what he's saying? Yes. Mm-hmm. Would there be probiotic benefit to that?
So he's trying to help his partner.
He's trying to help his partner out.
No, he's trying to help himself.
Oh, no, he's trying to help his partner.
Well, he's trying to help himself. Oh,
no.
He's saying, is the probiotic going to help him? Anyway, here's where the copyrighted theme music comes in. So we'll see you next time. Check your stupid nuts for lumps. Quit smoking. Get off your asses. Get some exercise. We'll see you in 1 week, maybe sooner, for the next edition of Weird Medicine. What a cluster. Thanks.